Yeah, it's really hard to, key in on what Kranich is going to do every single game because he plays the full spectrum. And we're going to find out what he's going to do in game 1 here. Here we go. Match 1, game 1. RDU versus Kranich.
And this is such an important match for Kranich. Again, if he wins this one, fully in control of his destiny at this point.
Yeah, if he wins this match, it's going to be hard for anyone else to make the playoffs.
And this is exactly what I'm talking about here. With Kranich playing these kinds of ranges, RDU isn't going to prepare for Mech Mage, basically ever. So when Kranich brings it right here, one great opening start easily could end this game.
Yeah, if this one goes to 5 games, I expect weird aggro decks from Kranich, and I don't mean weird as in like you've never seen them before, but just the full range of them. You're not just going to get Hunter. And then I expect something like maybe Control Warrior and Druid.
Yeah, so opening hands here. 2 Piloted Shredders and Snowchugger, very resilient opening hand, but RDU has got Nerubian Egg, Power Overwhelming, Imp Gang Boss, and Void Caller already.
And I love this queue up here from RDU in game 1. Kranich has been leading off so many matches towards the end of the season here with Druid.
Yeah, and honestly, this had to have thrown RDU for a loop. This is clearly something that Kranich had in mind. He's been leading, you said it, I mean, he's been leading with Druid almost every single match.
And look at the pressure RDU has on what to do turn 1, because here's the thing, he has no idea what deck Kranich is playing. There's like 18 different variations of Mage decks, and Kranich could possibly be playing any one of them.
Yeah, this is the guy who you don't know what he's playing. I mean, he could even potentially have a new style of deck, something that you're not even accounting for in the first couple of turns. And that's what puts RDU in this difficult situation.
Yeah, I mean, this is what Kranich does to you. We talked about this hashtag Kranich happens. I mean, he creates chaos in his games. Trying to keep up with what's going on is so hard against Kranich because he could literally be anywhere.
Yeah, and I love that RDU's taking his time and thinking about this. He's not just planning out this turn, he's planning out his next 2, 3, and 4 turns.
Yeah, because we've said it a few times, these matches pretty important.
Yeah.
These matches today, especially for Kranich, could be worth $20,000.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, if he wins these 2 today, he's only a few matches away from getting that.
Yeah. Now, RDU, you see the smile there because he's very happy that a minion was played here, turning his Power Overwhelming on.
Yeah, that's really, right now he's got to be feeling confident. Gets a 4/4 on the board. This is going to contest anything Kranich plays on turn 3, and pretty darn well at the same time.
Yeah, it's also hard for his, Mech Mage to answer a 4/4 on turn 2. Let's be honest, it's pretty hard for most decks to answer a 4/4 on turn 2. But now his curve looks amazing for the next couple turns as well.
Yeah, so now RDU does have something to think about, though. If he decides to attack the Snowchugger, he's not getting an attack next turn with his Nerubian. So not the most efficient trade here. This is a spot where he's going to have to look at his couple turns and think to himself, should I be pushing damage? Should I be trading?
Yeah,
this deck wants to grab control of the board and keep it.
Yeah, now it just depends on what you think is going to happen next turn. If you think, something like Pilot Shredder or Fireball is going to happen and you have to play around those kind of things, and then where you want to go with your turns from there, because at some point in time he wants to get this Void Terror in play, but these Void Callers get you a lot of value as well.
Yeah, Void Caller almost certainly hitting play this turn. There's just not a better play than this right now. This Piloted Shredder, though, now there's a chance for Kranich to start making some recovery in this game, and when he picks up a Mad Scientist here, his turn 5 is now filled out.
Yeah, he's got a great turn 5. You can Spider Tank and Mad Scientist here. This is one of the problems that you see with the Mech Mage deck is sometimes if it falls a little behind, it just has these clunky minions to play, and if you can play 2 things in a turn, it's maybe good, but cards like Fireball and Frostbolt in this deck, they aren't meant to really be used on minions in this matchup. They want to have these really efficient minions that they play ahead of time, like, 1 step ahead of the curve, get some damage, and then finish you off with Fireballs and Frostbolts.
Yeah, so Pilot Shredders, again, they're going to do a lot to keep Kranich's board resilient, but RDU with the 2 Void Callers, he's going to be able to kind of keep up pace with this. And so Kranich, he went with the Pilot Shredder here. I don't mind this either. Now he does have the option of Mad Scientist and Fireball next turn. Say RDU plays another big minion that maybe he can't handle very well. A couple different situations to be accounting for.
Yeah, so he also has to be very careful with Fireball. I feel like you're almost priced into keeping it in your hand just in case Mal'Ganis happens. You have to have some kind of answer to that, and it's going to cost you 6 mana to answer it.
Nerubian Egg for Kranich, not quite as good as it is for RDU.
Not the best, but it's not. There's a chance it can do something in this game. He will be able to get spare parts, hopefully, at some point in time. And if he can get one of those and use them in the Nerubian Egg, then he might be able to get value from it. But it's a very small chance.
Yeah, it's a small chance indeed. And again, just look at the board state right now. This is the situation Kranich wanted to try to avoid. But with the power overwhelming Nerubian Egg opening, like, it's just been raining terror on his board the entire time. He got 2 relatively poor piloted Shredder drops, and now look at his hand. There's no good option this turn.
Yeah, you've heard me talk about this deck all season long, the Zoo deck, the Warlock Zoo deck. I'm a big fan of it because it's aggressive but so resilient, and it just scales so well in the early to mid game. that the other aggressive decks have a hard time against it. I mean, one of its only bad matchups is Hunter.
Yeah, so Kranich going to settle for Fireball here. And this is really where RDU is going to have some windows of opportunity to really get things done. Now Dr. Boom is looking like it's going to go unchecked, but Kranich is getting that first. He hits his Dr. Boom in stride. RDU's following up with it.
Yeah, and that's what RDU is going to take his time with this turn, is he's going to try to figure out how can I make the best board possible for a Dr. Boom next turn.
Yeah. And so something I think he's really thinking about is how to abuse the fact that Mirror Entity is coming out of Kranich's build this turn. Now we say that Kranich, I feel like, is the one guy who maybe has a secret other than Mirror Entity in the Mech Mage deck.
Yeah, there could be anything like Counter Spell in this deck, but it's going to be Mirror Entity, most of the time. But wow, I am super surprised.
This is not a surprise to me whatsoever. Like I just feel like this is Kranich in a nutshell. He's going to play something crazy to try to throw you off your game.
What do you think it is, like Duplicate?
I don't know. I mean, Counter Spell is the natural fit. Even as a Water Elemental in here, so you can see that his deck building, I feel like this deck was lined up to try to beat something like Grim Patron Warrior.
Right, yeah. Seeing the Water Elemental, I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, but RDU, now that he knows this isn't Mirror Entity, free to play this Dr. Boom.
Yeah, he gets to play this Dr. Boom here, and he's going to be able to take a bunch of damage to Kranich's face.
I wonder if there's ever a chance this is Ice Block.
Kranich just has a Tempo Ice Block in his Mech Mage deck. All right, not the worst, not the best boom bot ever. RDU gets left over with something here. It could have been worse.
The big problem here is that Kranich is playing defense right now.
Yeah, and this deck doesn't play defense amazingly.
No, it does not, and especially not from this kind of situation where, he wants to push for damage. Obviously, that's what this deck does, is push for damage.
I'm looking at this board, and I'm looking at the Goblin Blast Mage in Kranich's hand, and the havoc that could happen. I mean, we could see 18 animations happen immediately. We could see boom bots going back and forth.
Yeah, so it looks like he's gonna favor he wants the Boombot to hit this Nerubian Egg, obviously. But now I look at this situation, and I think this has to be a Noyatron Goblin Blast Mage.
Yeah, this has to be a Noyatron Goblin Blast Mage, pick off the 6/5, and just hope it's going to be good from here. I mean, RDU has so many cards in his deck that you can just end it from this spot very easily.
Yeah, so these are important rolls right now, not the best ones.
All right, not the worst Boombot in the world. It didn't hit the Noyatron. He really needed that thing to have a Divine Shield here as well, because now RDU only has 2 attackers.
Defender of Argus, though, this isn't like too terribly good right now. RDU doesn't have any push this turn. Like, nothing he has that's actually really going to affect this board state. So, I mean, maybe this is the window of opportunity now. He cannot kill a 7/1 Dr. Boom.
Yeah, he can't get to the Dr. Boom. Kranich is going to be able to push it himself here because he's going to get through this Noyatron. Great recovery here from Kranich. Great way of navigating through that, incredibly complicated board state.
So now there's the Tinkertown Technician. This is what you were talking about. Maybe a spare part could change the way this Nerubian Egg is going to be interacting.
Yeah, does he have time, though, to play the Spider Tank and the Tinkertown Technician and get everything done that he wanted to get done in this match?
Yeah, that's really the issue I'm seeing here. Like, what is this secret, and does he have time to utilize whatever it is?
Yeah, I was going to say, because he's going to Spider Tank and Water Elemental here. He's valuing the bigger and better body over the Tinkertown Technician. And maybe freezing is going to be a big deal for him. Because if the Spider Tank gets taken care of here, he's not going to be able to get a spare part. But again, the chance of him getting a spare part to turn on the Nerubian Egg, pretty small.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Reversing Switch and the one that adds power.
Whirling Blades.
Whirling Blades, yeah.
So RDU likely to taunt up this Nerubian Egg. So 5 points of damage comes crashing in.
Yeah, RDU is going to push for lethal next turn here.
Kranich needs something like a Flame Strike right now.
Some of these decks carry 1 sometimes.
Well, Noyatron provides some defense too. So say he Tinkertown's a Rusty Horn here.
Oh, he got the Whirling Blades.
Okay, so now things have gotten a little bit interesting.
Yeah, well, the thing is, how does he chew through all this stuff that RDU has here? He might have to use the Whirling Blades to get through the Defender of Argus. I mean, I guess he could use it on the Nerubian Egg to get into the Defender of Argus and then attack it again to take care of that. Use a Water Elemental. I mean, you don't even want to kill his Nerubian Egg because then it adds power to the board.
Yeah, unless the secret is something that's going to protect him, which at this point I don't believe that it is. RDU hasn't cast a single spell, so we haven't even checked for something like Spellbreaker or Counterspell at this point. So it really depends. I mean, if this is an Ice Block, that is where Kranich can win the game, but if this is an Ice Block, there's no way he's recovering.
Yep, RDU has an easy 4 here if he just goes for it. With that attack.
Yeah, well, Kranich is clearly upset about this, so I do not believe that it is Ice Block. I think RDU's got this game number 1 locked up. He's going to even silence. Shows the Iron Begal. Yeah, that's going to do it. Kranich falls in game number 1.
Even, you know, plays a little tight there, making sure to get Kranich to 1 before attacking him for lethal, just in case.
Well, I don't blame him for this
I don't
situation
either.
at all. I mean, Kranich, I feel like, is the kind of guy who could potentially have an Ice Block in his Mech Mage deck.